Florida is working on a massive recruiting flip right now for their biggest in-state rival. We're going to talk to Gators Online's Corey Bender about their chances to flip the second best player on FSU's commitment list. Corey, thanks for joining me. Let's get right to it. Jordan Pride, he's currently committed to Florida State, but we're going to get into his recruitment, but tell me what you think of him as a prospect first.
No, I definitely like him quite a bit. He's versatile. I think he can play a few different roles in the secondary. Solid tackler too. Really fundamental, and I think the one thing too about him that I've heard from a lot of people close to him is his leadership. He's a very vocal kid who kind of gets everyone around, gets that energy level up around the defense. So there's a lot of things I definitely like about him as a player, and I think with him, he's far from a finished product. I think he's definitely going to improve more and more, and especially when he settles in on one position. I know Florida likes him as a safety. Florida State, I assume the same thing, but I think he's a guy who can kind of play star. You can kind of do few different roles with him. I think that's why he's so highly regarded with Alabama and schools like that who have offered as well.
So he's been committed to Florida State since July of 2021, but he does seem open to other schools, obviously UF being one of them. Any potential reason for the change of heart?
It's going to be interesting. So I know with Jordan, when we spoke to him about a month ago, he kind of said that he's more familiar with the Florida staff over than Florida State. And I thought that was very surprising, just
Yeah.
based on how long his commitment's been in place. And FSU really hasn't had much coaching turnover whatsoever. Where Florida, they're going on year two with the new staff. So I know the big thing I'm looking at right now is Patrick Toney, the co-DC that left Florida. That
Sure.
was his main point of contact for a while. He used to rave about that relationship. And now with him obviously in the NFL, you have Austin Armstrong. You have other staff members too. Billy Napier's played a role in his recruitment as well. But it's going to be interesting. I think the more he gets to Tallahassee, I think the more it evens out as far as Florida State keeping him. Florida, I would say the last 3 to 4 months, Florida was probably the more hot team in his recruitment. Just how many times he's visited, and he always says Florida really treats me like I'm a priority recruit, and they
Right.
roll out the red carpet for that kid every time he goes to Gainesville. But the more he gets back to Tallahassee, I think maybe it reminds him, hey, this is why I made this decision so early. This
Sure.
is why I picked the Seminoles. And I know from FSU, it's kind of, I mean, he's a kid at the top of the state, too. He's not too far from either school. I think when it's all said and done, maybe he even takes more officials, but I think it's an FSU and Florida battle to the very end. And it's very, very close. Right now, it's like a coin flip for me. I'm probably almost leaning towards FSU. And I'm surprised I'm saying that because in recent months, I've had him on flip watch. But I think with Patrick Toney now in the NFL and him going to FSU a few more times since then, I think kind of FSU probably feels a little bit more confident than Florida does right now.
Florida State did get a new DB's coach too, though, right? So it's not like there's total familiarity there. That's a new situation as well.
100%, yeah, and I think with both schools, yeah, obviously with that, and then with Patrick Toney with him leaving, I know Billy Napier. The one thing I do know of Florida, Billy Napier's really picked it up as far as communicating with Pride when that
Okay.
transition went through. I think just they just need to get him back on campus. That's the biggest thing. I think a lot same thing when you have Billy Gonzalez and a lot of these new receiver recruits. Just get them back on campus, let them have that
Right.
FaceTime, get a feel of their personalities, and kind of see. I don't think Jordan's in any rush either. I mean, he's already committed. I mean,
Sure.
if he doesn't make a switch, he's goes about his business, takes visits, and
Mhm.
signs with FSU. But
Right.
I think Florida, they just have to. I know they're going to definitely get an official from him. I'm sure he'll probably be at the spring game here in April. We are talking
Mhm.
about with that being on a Thursday and no competition to go against other schools. I think he's one of the guys that will more than likely be there. So I think it's going to be very close until the end. So we'll see how it shapes up, but it should be an FSU Florida battle.
We'll get right back to the interview with Corey, but if you're watching this and enjoy the content, do me a favor and make sure you are commenting below the type of content that you want to see us do. We've taken several of your suggestions and made videos out of them. Know that we are reading every single comment and we want to do our best to bring you guys what you want to see. Comment below and let's chat. With Corey Raymond coaching the entire secondary, how big of a deal do you think that's going to be in his recruitment? I know you said he had a great relationship with Tony, but you've got to think from a development standpoint, this could be a good thing, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think over the long term, because there's a lot of kids there that played safety. Obviously, you got recruited as safeties by Florida, but they would really talk to Raymond a lot too. And some of the kids, I'd be like, "Hey, I know you're getting recruited by Raymond, but you're a safety." But they're like, "Hey, they're gonna move me around quite a bit. I'll be in his
Right.
room as well." And I think, like when I was mentioned before, Pride, he's versatile. I feel you can do a lot of different things with him. But either way, he's going to be with Raymond, like you said. He'll be in the secondary with him. So I think overall it's just another major selling point for Florida, and I think he understands that as well. I mean, it's a coaching carousel. Coaches move every year. So I think overall, just getting back on campus, have Florida kind of iron out those plans, kind of be back in his ear again about why Florida's the perfect spot, and we'll see that momentum start to swing back to Florida probably a little bit as well.
So if Florida were to pull off the flip, do you think this is bigger from an optics standpoint, to beat FSU for a top player, or it's just bigger because of how good he is, or is it both?
I would say it's a little bit of both, but I think also grabbing a top player from FSU, I mean, that's a statement, I think, overall. I think each year you have both these schools kind of battling out for certain guys, but
Sure.
I think you said it perfectly. I think it's a little bit of both, but I think what the cherry on top would be is obviously stealing away an All American kid from FSU who's been committed for so long. And so, I mean, Florida State's had every opportunity to shut it down as far as maybe like showing them why, hey, this is why you committed here, and maybe he shuts down his recruitment. But Florida's still in the picture. I mean, they're rolling out the red carpet for him, and I think that's the biggest difference right now. Florida is really going all in and basically giving them all the reasons why to explore their school. So we'll see how it all plays out, though.
So, what do you think UF needs to do to flip him? Do you think it's more of like a relationship building thing, or do you think maybe results on the field this upcoming season or NIL? Like, what do you think, if he were to flip, would be that final kind of decision maker for him?
I think it's just getting more familiar with the staff. I think spending more personal time with Corey Raymond, obviously meeting Austin Armstrong.
Sure.
I think those are the two main things. Because even last summer, I would say Florida was trending up with him. He went to Friday Night Lights as a spectator, had a great time, and we even kind of looked at it. Well, maybe he can end up flipping this weekend. So, and I say that because Florida's results on the field were kind of so-so that first year under Napier. So that didn't push him out of the picture with the season they had. So I don't think on-field play is going to be a huge factor with him. I think it's going to be where he can fit in, where he's the biggest priority, and him just being comfortable with that staff. So, Billy Napier is really kind of checking off all the boxes for what he wants in a head coach. And I think now with Tony gone, it's about Austin Armstrong and Corey Raymond really developing that home-like feel with him.
And do you think that his recruiting day will go recruitment will go right up until signing day, or do you think that he may have some clarity before then?
I think if he ever flipped to Florida, I think it would happen before then. But I still think even if that happened, you would still have to monitor his recruitment until the very end. I think it's kind of like when Kelby Collins committed last summer. And when Florida kind of picked up ground, they got him. But I kind of said you got to treat this kid like he's not committed.
Right.
Keep prioritizing him because Alabama's always going to be in the background. I think that's the same thing with Jordan Pride. If he was to flip to Florida, I think FSU. I think they're going to keep going after him. They're not going to back off. So you can't really slack and be like, hey, we got him now. I think you just got to keep recruiting this kid. So I think in December, later on this year, we're going to be talking whichever school he's committed to. We're going to be talking about the other school as well, as far as kind of making some noise at the end. So it should be pretty interesting.
Well, we so appreciate you joining us. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media and check out your work.
Yeah, absolutely. So GatorsOnline.com, part of the On3 network, and then my personal account is Corey_Bender. And Gators Online and Corey Bender. That's where you can find all our recruiting content. So we're always pushing out stuff.
All right, well, let's do it again. I appreciate you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Big thanks to Corey Bender from Gators Online for joining us today. If you're a member and you watch this video early, we appreciate your support. If you wish you could have gotten this content and info earlier than everybody else, click the join button to become a member of the channel so you get access to special perks. Your support means the world, and I appreciate you if you have joined as a member today. If you missed Corey's full recruiting update where we discussed a couple of 5 stars that were on UF's campus, click right here.